Today we are going to learn about capturing screen images. This is a useful tool, especially if you want to show me what's on your screen, an error message or something that looks kind of different or doesn't function properly. Sometimes if you can capture a picture of the image and send it to me in an email message, I can sometimes figure out what's going on and help you. And then if we have to go to a video meeting, we can go to a video meeting. But sometimes just getting a couple of good pictures from your screen that I can see can help you solve the problem. So the tools that we're going to try to use are PrtScn. Sometimes it's abbreviated PrtScr. And we're going to use the Alt PrtScreen combination. You hold down the Alt key, tap PrtScreen, and let go. We're going to paste some of our images into Paint so we can further make selections of just what we want to see. And then we're going to use the Snipping Tool. So I'm going to open up Edge. You're probably using Chrome. I'm playing with Edge because it's Chrome-like. And I'm kind of testing it out. But go ahead and use Chrome. And I've brought it into our course schedule down to weeks 4 and 5. Last week, remember, we had Labor Day, and you were given these assignments to do that are due Thursday, reading Module 5 and Module 6, and doing the trainings. This week, September the 14th, you're going to read Module 10 on networking and Module 11 on digital communication, and do the trainings for those. And there's one little video that I want you to do about the importance of netiquette, and so that's going to count to also as a grade there. Now, your next exam, as you can see, will be Friday, September 25th, and it wraps around till Tuesday the 29th. So we've got an idea of what we're supposed to do for these 2 weeks. Now, I want to capture this image, the whole image. So I'm going to press the PrtScreen key, and it's going to be next to the F12 key. And I'm just, again, it may be PrtScr or PrtScn. It may even say the word PrtScreen on it. So we're going to tap that. And it doesn't look like anything happened, but we actually captured this image to the Windows clipboard. Its own little personal operating system clipboard to hold an image that we can paste multiple times until we capture something else. So I want to go open up Word, which I had already started, and I had typed in screen capture methods, and then I put in a little statement here: this image is captured using the PrtScreen key, and I put in parentheses maybe called PrtScr, and I just went ahead and spelled out the words PrtScreen so we would know. I'll turn off the show hide so it's a little bit easier to see, and I hit the enter key. Up here in the Home tab in the clipboard area, the paste button is alive. And what I mean by that is it's not shaded out. That means there is something that has been copied or cut that could be pasted into Word. So just click on the top half of that button, the icon itself, and it should paste in whatever you had. Now I have a double screen, and it is going over and getting my dog picture. I don't think it's ever done that before, but there's my dog, or he was. I've lost him. But anyway, he was a good dog. See, if I'm hoping it's not going to keep doing that. In fact, I'm going to pause here just for a second to check that out. Well, I'm not really sure why, because I have a selection here. You can see red dots around. That's my viewing area, but we'll just leave it like that. Yours won't have a dog on it. So it captured the full screen image, including my dual screens. And what we want to do next is, let's say we just want to get a floating window or a dialog box that we need to get to capture. So this next image, we're going to say this image is captured using the PrtScreen key, and you can, however you want to spell this out. This is and we're going to actually click in front of PrtScreen, and we're going to add something called ALT, and we're going to add the plus sign. Now most people run that together, but I think it's easier for you to see what you're holding down. It doesn't mean you hold down the plus sign. You hold down the Alt key, tap the PrtScreen key, and let up. If you hold down the Alt key too long, you'll get letters and numbers for the menus and the tabs, so that if your mouse had quit working, if you had an old mechanical mouse, we said the mouse died, then you could still use your keyboard, your arrow keys, your tab keys to maneuver around so that you could save your file, give it a name, close the application, and you could even actually go and tab through to restart your computer or run shutdown or anything like that without a mouse or a pointing device. Again, that really happened with the old mechanical mice. You don't quite have that problem anymore unless a mouse just absolutely quits functioning. There's something physically wrong with it. So we're going to say capturing the print screen key, and we'll put a colon there, and we'll just hit the enter key. So let's go get, and I had students to open up PowerPoint, and I already have this one open up. So I'm just going to go open up or create a new one, so I can kind of be like you. And I'll just choose something I haven't used before, mesh, whatever you have. Looks like I'm mesh depending on what the color of the, oh, I'm going to go with lime. Create. So now I have another PowerPoint presentation here. I'm going to click in the box and we're going to type in landscapes. Notice I'm using my capital and lowercase letters, but this particular one is in all caps. And we're not going to put a subtitle. We're going to go over here to the slides group on the home tab, and we're going to click on the top half of the new slide button. We don't want to open the gallery just yet. So we're going to add a title here that says interesting landscapes. And instead of the click to add text, we're going to go to use the buttons in the middle. On the second row, the second one is online pictures. We're going to click there. And depending upon whether you're using Google, Chrome, or you're using Edge like I am, you may have Bing or you may have Google up here. Either way, type in your search box for landscapes. And then just search for them. Don't take too long to pick out one. And once you click on it, there should be, whether you're using Google or Bing or whatever, you should have an insert key that allows you to insert that picture into your document. And what I'd like you to do is grab one of the resizing handles on the corner so you can make this as big as you can on your slide without running off the edge of the slide. Just want to have it big enough so we can see what we have. Now I'm just going to click away from the picture so it's not selected, and I want for PowerPoint to float. So I'm going to click on the restore down button, and it's going to be a floating, and for right now I'll minimize my other one. How about that? So we got Word behind it, and we want to make sure that we have a floating window. In fact, I'm going to resize this just a little bit so you can see it's a little bit smaller image. Now I just want to capture just this active window. Hold down the Alt key for just a second and tap your print screen key and let up. Now if you held the Alt key down too long, see how I get all those numbers and letters? That's what I'm talking about. If I need to go to the file menu, I just hit the F right now on the keyboard and it opened up the file menu, and it would have letters or numbers for save, save as, and so on. So, if you held it down too long, you can just escape out of that and do an Alt print screen key again. So I think I captured it right the first time. Let's just go here to Word, which is behind us. We've got a place for it, so we're just going to paste it. And this time it only pasted the floating window, the active window that we had available. If you'd had a dialog box that had popped up on top of this asking you a question, that would be the active window, if you will, and our image. And when you did an Alt print screen, it would just capture that dialog box. So sometimes you may have to capture those for me because that's where the error messages are. And there's an easier way to do that sometimes besides this method. So we've used the Alt print screen to capture just the active window or the active dialog box, whatever it may be. Let's hit the Enter key this time. And in this case, I want to capture a pull-down menu. We're going to find out that the Snipping Tool just it doesn't have that capability. Probably Snip and Sketch does. But for now, we're going to pretend we don't know about Snip and Sketch. I can't say that right. I want to transpose everything. But we need to capture just a portion or a menu or a submenu, and we're not fast enough to, or not, it's not, even with a delay, it won't delay it so you can get your submenus in your picture before it takes the picture. So it's kind of frustrating with that. So let's just, while we're here, let's capture this image, and we're going to use the same image that we have here that we've got pasted, so we don't have to do another capture. It's still out there. So in your search, type here to search, type Paint. Now if you don't have Paint and you only have Paint 3D, you can go into Paint 3D, but I like to use Paint because it's been around a long time, it's easy to manipulate. Paint 3D wants you to create a project, and you have to save the image as an image if you just want the image. Otherwise you save it as part of a project, and so that gets a little confusing for some of us, so I'm trying to keep this easy as possible. So the Paint program is going to open up. Let me bring it into focus. Notice the clipboard is live, so I'm going to click on the top part of the clipboard, and there's the same image. Okay, so I know that's going to work. Okay, so if I wanted to get a piece of, say, this right here, I could use the select button, and I could draw just to select that little area there. It's got little handles, and it has to have that dashed line, and you have to go over here and copy. Use the copy button. Then we're going to go back into Word, and this image was captured using the Alt print screen, if you will, because we did do it originally this way. Key and pasted into Paint to select a partial image. Okay, so now we're here in Word, and we're just going to paste it. Now it went to another page, and you can see how big these things are. If you want to go and try to fit things better on the page, you could come up and shrink. I always grab a hold of the lower right hand corner. It's just easier to scale better on a page. And see, as I bring it up, that becomes even, scalable as well. And then I'm going to hit the Enter key after that. Now, the next thing I want to do is capture that submenu. Well, I'm going to have to capture it again. So let's go to PowerPoint, to our presentation, and let's point at the New Slide Buttons menu. So where it says New Slide and there's an arrow, click on it. This is a gallery of the different slides for this particular theme. You may have more. I expected more myself, but you may have more. I need to capture this image with this submenu. If I try to do it with the snipping tool, it's not going to work, and I'll show you that in a moment. But if I need it to do, just to capture this, just so I can show what these look like, and if I don't want the screen tips to show right now, I can kind of move out of it because it's there. If you hit your print screen key, if you try to do Alt print screen, it goes away. See how Alt, all I did was push the Alt key down. So you're going to have to, now I got the regular ones, who would know? This is what I was expecting. Hit the print screen key by itself. Then go to Paint. And in Paint, you want to do a new one. So you're going to do File, New. No, we don't want to save the old one. And we're going to click on the Paste button there. And let's just make this big so it's the full screen there. And you can see it captured a full image. But all I really want to capture is this area here. So while I'm here in Paint, I can choose the top half for a rectangular selection. I get crosshairs. I could start at the top and just go and highlight just this area that I want. Just this area. Now, it's got dashed lines around it. I need to click on the Copy button to make sure it's copied. Now, sometimes you'll try this and you'll go and you'll paste and it didn't copy. So we're going to see what happens. When we go to Word, we have to go down to the real. Don't get the one that's in the picture, it's not real. But go down to the real taskbar and open up your Word. So that's going to be down below. And then we want to say that this image was, or let's say is a capture of a menu using PrtScn and Paint to select the partial image. Now we know we're not going to have space for this, but we're going to try to paste it. Sorry, I've got a phone ringing and I'm not going to answer it while we're doing this. So now you can see this really long menu that we pasted into Word. I'm definitely going to resize this, okay? So you can see that I need to put this tag, if you will, or text. So I'm going to click in front of there. You can hit the enter key till you go down, but the actual better way to do this is to do a control enter, and it puts a page break in here so that this stays together with its picture. Now I'm going to click next to the picture in the window file and hit the enter key so I have another place for another image to come in. Okay, so we've done some things that allow us to grab things using PrtScn and AltPrtScn, and borrowing the Paint program or some other graphic editor that you may have. You can actually crop pictures in Word. So I could crop out the picture of my dog. So let me just go here. Let's just practice that so I can show you how this works. I go to the Picture Tools format while I'm in Word, and I have the crop over here in the size group. And I'm going to click on the crop button, and I'm just going to take it over so I crop out my Cody Joe. And then I'm going to click on the crop button again to turn it off. And now this is only what I wanted to show earlier. And I'm making it bigger so it's throwing some things off. But I need to make it a little bit bigger so you guys can see it, which means I may reformulate the sizes for some of these others. And again, I want to show you this. If you start to drag this out, it's on the bottom of the page, and it gets to gray, it means it's going to go to the next page. So as long as it's still, you know, the image with all the color and no graying out, you can place it at the bottom of that page. Okay? Now I'm going to click where I left off with ready for another snipping. Alright, and I said snipping, didn't I? Because we're going to use the snipping tool. So this image was captured, I better spell it right, using the snipping tool full screen. Okay, we'll hit the enter key. So the snipping tool is, and I already have it on my taskbar because I like to use it all the time. I mean, I use it constantly. If you need to create something where you tell somebody how to do something, especially if they're learning how to use the computer, capturing the images and showing them and explaining what they have to click on and where do they click, and even drawing on the images and stuff really helps. So we're going to go to the snipping tool, and I had pinned mine to the taskbar. So I'm going to go to the Cortana. I'm just going to start typing in snip, and you'll see it shows up. If yours doesn't have the snipping tool, because the latest version is probably only going to have the snip and sketch, you'd have to go in there and start using that. And I haven't used it a lot. It's not that hard to use, but I haven't used it a lot. So the snipping tool brings up a little menu. Now, if you click on New, it's going to gray out, and it's grayed out everywhere, even the other screen. I could highlight just what I want with, say, I'm just going to get this. That's all I got because that's what I outlined. So let's say, first and foremost, let's go to, before we do this, notice I'm in crosshairs here. So if I need to move around and change the background because this is not what I want to capture, I'm just going to click New to kind of turn it off. I'm going to go to where we had, remember the course schedule? I said we were going to bring this up. It's time to use snipping. So I've brought this up, and I'm going to go back to my snipping tool. Its automatic mode is a rectangular shape, or snip. If you would, go down to the full screen snip. And it's going to grab my dog again, okay? But do the full screen snip. And then we're going to come back into Word here in just a second. I'm just kind of showing, I'm in snip right now. This is the full screen, okay? So I'm going to come back into Word. First of all, I'm going to copy it because this is our first snip, isn't it? I'm going to do my copy from snip. This is the snipping tool. It's just maximize screen. So I choose the copy. You could save it as a picture. I have to do that if I'm embedding a picture in, say, an announcement, because it won't let you just embed it automatically. You have to save it as a file and then go search for the file. Whereas in an email message, I can take the snipped image and just embed it right there in the email so you can see it. Several of you may have received help that way from me because I show you what it's supposed to look like. So we're going to copy this, and we're going to go to Word, and we're going to paste that image. Now there's my dog. So I'm going to go ahead and trim out Cody Joe. He was a very good dog. And then I'm going to turn off the crop, and I'm going to resize this just like I had to before, but I'll make it big enough we can see it a little better. Now I'm going to hit the Enter key because that was the full screen of what we had on the screen at the time. This time I'm going to say this image was captured using the snipping tool, '(S), snipping tools, rectangular snip. Oops, helps to have an S in there. Okay, and just hit the Enter key. So I'm going to go back to the snipping tool first. Remember, this is what we had here. If I say New here, it comes back and shows me what I have in Word, and that's not where I want to be. So I'm going to click on New again so that I can go to my PowerPoint slideshow. Remember landscape? Let's make it, well, let's leave it like this for right now. I just want to show you something really quickly. I click on New Slide. Remember how I got this down before? If I had this maximized, I'd see it a little bit smaller. And then if I try to go to the snipping tool to snip it, it disappears. If the snipping tool's right here and I go to get it, the snipping tool disappears. I have to bring it up on top, and I can't ever capture it. There is a delay for a number of seconds, but every time I've tried it, it just never captures the menu, which is, that should work that way, but I've never got it to work. So that's why I showed you the old way how to do it with the paint program and so forth. But right now we're going to do a new, and we're just going to capture what we want. And let's just say we want to get these two slides in the slide sorter. Well, it's actually a slide thumbnail view. And we're going to see that we got it captured. And by the way, I have ink pens, or I have pens, and I could write things. Of course, I'm not good at writing in here. So I can erase it. It's always hard to get the little red dot. You just keep having to work on it. Eventually you get it. You can also highlight. So let's say you wanted to highlight the number 1. You could highlight the number 1. If you don't want it highlighted, you can erase it. And you could go all the way into the 3D, Paint 3D, and edit this picture if you wanted to. For right now we're going to stay where we are, but we're going to use the copy button to copy this. I'm going to switch back to my pen just because I don't like having to point with an eraser. So we did a copy. Let's go back to Word. It's in our background here. And we're going to paste it. So now we use the rectangular snip. I want to show you one other snip that I think is interesting. This image was created using the Snipping Tools '(S) freeform snip. Enter. So let's go back to PowerPoint and let's expand it to maximize the full screen. And your picture that you have here, that you have for your interesting landscapes, we're going to click on the Snipping tool. We're going to choose New, and then we're going to go to the mode and choose Freeform Snip. Now I want to point out to you, remember how we did a window snip where we captured the active window? That's what window snip is. So we're going to go to Freeform, and guess what? It turns into a pair of scissors, so please don't run with scissors. But we just want to capture an image and try to stay within your picture. And join the two ends back together. And this is a freeform snip. Now you can kind of make a nice little artwork of it, making a splash screen in the back or something. And what we want to do is we want to copy that into our Word document. So we click on Copy in the Snipping tool. We go to Word. And where we put in the text for this one, we're going to paste. And it's quite big, so you might want to resize it some to see if you can get it to fit. Now when I resized it, it moved a little bit because here is our partial. So I must not have been at the end when I did this. So it looks like I've got a print screen in Paint. So I don't think you guys did this, but if you did, you can see how I'm highlighting both things. And I'm just going to do a cut. Oh no, I've cut it. I'm going to scroll up to where before we started using the snipping tool, and I'm just going to click somewhere in here to force a blank line. So here's my blank line where I can insert it, and I'm going to paste it. So now all the print screen paint stuff are together, and my snipping tool, now I'm going to have to see how big this is. I could fit this in. Force a blank line there. And I'm just going to resize this until I can get it on the previous page, and then I can see how big I can make it. When it goes to gray, that's as big as I can make it and keep it on this page. So again, it may be that I come up to this really big one and really shrink it down some more. Notice that I'm getting things pulled together here, but I can now make this picture much bigger. So we now have several methods of how we can capture the full screen or part of a screen or the active window. We can do the snipping tool, we can do the full screen, we can do a rectangular snip of just what we want to capture, we can do a freeform snip. There's a lot of things that we can do using these tools, including the paint program that kind of helped us out. And even if you snipped something with the snipping tool, you can put it in Paint and edit it further if you wanted to. For example, if you were wanting to get part of this menu bar up here to show them just, what's in the slides menu, you could use your snipping tool, and you could just, let's go ahead and get a rectangular shape there, and we could just select that group. And you say, today we're going to talk about this section. What does this mean? What does this group of buttons do in PowerPoint? So now I have it. I could copy it. I could paste it into Paint. I could, use some tools in there to put a text. That would be a good thing. Let's put a text. So I've got it copied. I'm going to go to Paint, and I'm going to just do in File New. Not going to save the current thing. I'm going to paste my new image in, and you can see it's selected there. And I'm going to move it down a little bit here on my canvas. And then I want to add, this is what's nice about using Paint, if I wanted to add a little text box. Make sure I got it here. And I draw it. I can write text in the box. Now I'm going to have to change the font probably to something a lot smaller. 11 point, maybe 12. And so this is the slides group. In PowerPoint we tend to go PP, capital P, lowercase t. And then you know how this is sticking out, we could probably shrink that in a little bit. We could even force that to wrap around if you wanted to. Then once you've done that, you can go back and select all of this, including your text, and copy it, and then you can put it into Word. So we'll go ahead and put this into Word, and what we're going to say after this, if I can find where my cursor is, there it is. This image was captured using the Snipping Tool and pasted into Paint where a text box was added. And then we can paste that. Alright, so I hope I've given you some new tools to work with. Some of you can use this in a lot of your classes. Now, the pictures off the internet. Some of them are from Creative Commons, and it's okay to use those for educational purposes. You cannot publish them, you know, when you're selling something commercially and publish it. You have to always try to cite the source. The Creative Commons is always trying to provide you with some kind of citation, even if the author is unknown. I tend to, if I don't know, if I'm not going through Creative Commons, excuse me, then I try to see where the picture's coming from. I try to cite the site of the website where that picture is from. If there is an author or contact information from the photographer, then you should contact that person and ask if you could use their picture. There could be royalty fees that they request. If you're going to go commercial and sell your book or whatever with their picture in it, they're going to want their money. So you want to be careful about just grabbing pictures off the internet willy-nilly, and you want to just make sure that you cite the source. If it's not a picture you took, and you ought to cite you as the source, by the way, so people don't steal it from you, but cite your source as much as possible. For Creative Commons, we are allowed to use things there for educational purposes. We are not publishing or anything like that. It's used for classroom instruction. Alright, so we're going to save this file, and we want to save it as, and I think I'm going to have to put it on my OneDrive. I don't have my flash drive plugged in, but wherever you're saving your data, whatever drive. So I'm going to go to my KCTCS drive, and I'm just going into, if I can find what I'm looking for. I'll just go ahead and put it for right now in my Monday, Wednesday, 9:30 class. Just make sure you put it in your CIT 105 folder. And I'm going to leave it at Screen Capture Methods is the name, and I'm going to save it. Now, I already had one called that from earlier in the class today. So I'm going to go ahead and just replace the existing file in this case. Now, that ends this coverage of Screen Capture Image Methods. and I hope that you will, that it will help you and benefit you in all of your classes. So that should be the end of our screen recording.